Happy Thursday evening, everybody, and welcome to Mystical Awakenings with Arjay and Deb.
Hi, everybody.
So good to be back here. We've had some busy times. Lots going on, but we never forget our home at KGRA or all of you because we love you.
We try not to anyway.
No, we try not to. So tonight we have a guest who was a first-time speaker at Michigan UFO Contact and had rave reviews. And I knew they would because, they're some of my favorite people. And they're just, I call them my most badass friends ever. But RJ, you want to fill people in?
Is it got to come down soon, right?
Nope.
That's good. Okay. The She Squatchers, right?
Oh Lord, it's gonna be a night.
Seashell City, right? Sorry, Jen. She Squatchers came together in 2015 to begin their all-female Bigfoot experiment as Minnesota's first all-female cryptid research team. She Squatchers aren't just women in the woods; they are psychic women utilizing their extra senses while looking for Bigfoot. Team leader Jen Cruz is an enrolled tribal member of the Minnesota's Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians. Jen and Jenna Grover are both trackers as well as adventurous woodswomen. You're throwing some words at me tonight, aren't they? Words I've never seen or heard. These ladies are missing persons, psychic mediums, and remote viewers. Together they had some amazing, sometimes scary experiences collecting evidence along the way. The team is based primarily out of Minnesota, but have literally been traveling from coast to coast searching for Bigfoot while sharing what they have found, also out of the United States recently. She Squatchers have been featured in 11 documentaries, more being released in 2025. Stay tuned. Documentaries available on Tubi, searching for Sasquatch 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 14, and She Squatchers documentary Paranormal Adventures 2 and 3. Tubi's original Scariest Monsters in America. The website is shesquatchers.com. Facebook. You can also find them on YouTube.
Yeah, the website is not on Facebook, but they also have a Facebook page.
Right. So please welcome our friend Jen Cruz. Hi.
It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I made it to South Dakota.
Oh, nice.
So how long have you been there? Did you just now arrive?
I did. I had time to run in and get my room and sign into their Wi-Fi. So here I am.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
You are so busy. I don't know if I've ever, I have busy friends, but you kind of
Top the list, yeah.
Yeah, you're amazing. You're always on the go. And no one's smiling.
This was totally unplanned, though. 2 nights ago, the event organizer called me and talked to me, and she's like, I think we need to have you here. So this was totally unplanned. So
well,
I'm excited to be here. I get it's a native run event, so I get to sport all my native earrings. And
oh, nice. Nice.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
I want to tell the audience, you were the first time at the UFO conference, UFO Contact. I can tell you, man, your presentation was very exciting first, I want to say, but very educational, was very informative, very eye-opening, and very spiritual too. That was so cool about it. You did a really, really professional job, and we loved it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That was the first time that I was sharing a lot of that stuff really publicly like that. And yeah. And I kind of hummed and hawed about how much of this should I share? How much do I have time to share? And I just threw it all in there, and I thought, well, we'll make it through however much time we make it through, and then it'll just be over. I was shocked to get through it all and still have 5 minutes left for questions. I was in shock.
So for the we have some people that are probably worried at the conference, but for
Hmm.
those who weren't, can you tell our audience when and why you got involved in this Sasquatch stuff?
All right, so I'm a psychic medium. I've always been gifted. I'm part Native American, and so I kind of attribute those extra senses to that, um, to being more connected with nature and the nature spirits and things like that as well. Uh, I was into doing paranormal things for quite a few years, and I was remote viewing paranormal locations and finding missing people and things like that.
Mhm.
When I started doing paranormal radio, um, I ended up at a conference where Lauren Coleman, the cryptozoologist who has the International Cryptozoology Museum in the state of Maine, he was there, and I thought, well, this would be a good interview. I didn't even really believe in Bigfoot. I hadn't taken the time to even think about Bigfoot, to even think, is Bigfoot real? I hadn't even like posed that question in my mind. I was just like, oh, this would be a good interview. So I sat down with him for about an hour in person and interviewed him for my show. And during that time, he was trying to convince me that there was Bigfoot in my home state of Minnesota. And me being a very country girl growing up in the woods, we foraged a lot of our food. My mom really raised me in the old way. And and so I was always in the woods with my mom or by myself, and I'd never seen anything that would make me think that there was a Bigfoot out there. But he assured me that there was and encouraged me to go and look. And he it was his brainstorming idea that he thought women should go into the woods without men, dogs, or guns,
All right.
and that he thought that would be the recipe for success in getting close to and interacting with Bigfoot. So he pretty much dared me to do it. And I said yes. And I was embarrassed to even tell my friends that I was going to go look for Bigfoot because I didn't really believe it. Then I went out and just gave it a try. And my very first try, I had an encounter, and it was a really intense encounter. The majority of the women that I took with me the first time were scared out of their minds and never wanted to do it again.
Right.
Oh boy.
And I tell people, you just don't know how you're going to react when you are finding yourself having a Bigfoot encounter. You're either going to be scared to death and never want to be in the woods again, or you're going to get hooked. And I got hooked.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, really, you think about it. We were doing a expedition out here, about 20 miles southwest of here. We got a call back, and we found a print. But I turned to her, and I said, "What would you do if you turned around and he was right there in front of you?"
Yeah.
I said I'd probably poop my pants and pass out because I'd be afraid. But I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people do freak out, and I think that they would stay a little calmer. They would know that, and there might be more interaction. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And I think that they're curious. They're
Yeah,
curious about us. Because every time I've had sightings out in the daytime, in the daytime, in the open, and literally it felt like they came out to look at us, like, what's going on over here?
right.
Like, they were curious about us. And then the closest I've been in the daytime where I had a sighting, I literally was standing by my tent on the property that I like to research in Minnesota. It's a private property, and I put my tent almost the opposite end of his whole property, away from where his house is, because he's got lots of acreage. And I put it where these two paths meet, and he mows paths throughout his property. It's really nice for that. Uh, and I'm standing there by my tent with an author of a book uh, named Sasquatch Central, and the author's name is Mike Quast. It's a pretty good book about that property. I'm standing there, and I feel that feeling that you get when somebody's staring at you.
Right.
And I always say that, and I hope that actually regular people get that feeling too, because I don't know. I'm psychic. Sometimes I just assume everybody has those feelings, and I'm not even sure. And but I have them quite often. And so somebody was staring at me, and so I just followed that sense to, and I ended up like just turning my head and I locked eyes with this Bigfoot that was just inside the forest, maybe like 30 feet. I locked eyes with him or her, and he did something like this, and I did the same face. and he was standing behind like two young trees, so they were thin and flexible. And so when he jumped back, the trees just started whipping back and forth like this. And Mike Quast was standing next to me when this happened. He didn't see the Bigfoot. He saw me react to seeing the Bigfoot because he was looking at me. And then he looked immediately where I was looking and he saw the trees immediately start to whip. And then the rest of the group that was around the other side of the tent, heard the commotion of, I just saw Bigfoot, and they were like, where? And they went running off into the woods where I directed them. Mm-hmm. I stayed put so that I could tell them when they were at the spot. And when they got to the spot, they were too short. Jason's short anyway, but
right.
I was entertaining them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great story.
So, I mean, I just think that they're curious about us. We're not, there's Bigfoot researchers out there that are stealthy. They try to like sneak up on them or think they're going to hide from them, and the Bigfoot's just going to come by or whatever. I'm like, they know you're there. You're not going to hide from them. Our motto is just be ourselves and be loud. And Jenna's always singing. And, I think that they want to know about us when we come in there, because they're like, what in the world's going on over here?
Right.
And the very first daytime encounter that I had, Jenna and I had just arrived at the property. We were scouting it out because we were looking to select the locations we were going to do our Minnesota documentary at. And so we decided we'd check out this property that we'd heard about. And so for 45 minutes before we arrived there, we were doing Reiki in the car, and we were like powering up. Like we wanted our frequency to be so high when we got there. Right. And we got there, we get out of the car and we start walking down this power line with the property owner. And all of a sudden it was there. They were there. And I saw one and Jenna saw one. We were looking in different directions. And so we each saw one. I saw a dark brown reddish one that was about 10 feet tall. And I only know that because it was the same height as the wrapping that went around the power pole, and that measured to be 10 feet tall. So otherwise I wouldn't have no idea. And then Jenna had seen a little bit shorter one that was black, that was over in a different direction. And we saw them at the same time. So she's looking at one and I'm looking at the other. And both of us are thinking that can't be a Bigfoot, because Randy's right here. He'd be saying, look, there's the Bigfoot right there. And he was just talking away about things that go on the property. And we're like, we're thinking to ourselves, that can't be a Bigfoot just standing right there. That really can't. But it was. And it, we walked a whole 600 feet closer to it, still standing there. And I'm still thinking, wow, that looks like a Bigfoot, but it's got to be a dead tree. No way. Randy would be saying something. And then all of a sudden Randy takes us into the forest a little bit and comes back out, and I look back down and the thing is gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's gone.
And a tree can't disappear.
Right. Trees don't walk away.
No, well, maybe not. Seen some videos where they appear that they're walking. So I want to get into what you personally think Bigfoot is, where it came from, and how it got here. Do you have some ideas about that, or some?
I've thought a lot about that. And, people often ask me, is Bigfoot an alien? And to be honest with you, I don't know. I do believe what my tribe says, that they're walking between worlds, so to speak, kind of like the little people do. And, and as a matter of fact, many Native people, even from other tribes, have told me that they're usually by the Chehotnas, which are Chahotana is, I think it's a Lakota word that means little people of the woodland trees. And it's
Okay.
spelled Canotina, but it's pronounced Chahotana. And
Chilton.
and they always say, if you want to find the Bigfoots, they're with the Chahotanas. They're right, they live next to each other. They're like neighbors. They're together, and they're in Sicha Hollow, South Dakota. And it's a park. It's a state park that you can't camp in. You can't spend the night there.
Hmm.
Um, and every time I've gone there, this is funny. Every time we've gone there, even if it wasn't forecasted to be raining, the skies open up and it rains every time we get there.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
weird. It's,
Hmm. That's interesting. What do you think that is all about?
I don't know. I don't know. And I keep intending to go back there. I actually drove past it today to get where I am right now. And I
Oh.
thought I waved at the Bigfoots as I drove by. I'm like, I'm coming back for you one of these days. I am. And it's not going to rain. I know, when I was growing up and I was watching cartoons and all that fun stuff, I really thought that quicksand was going to be a bigger problem than it actually is because all the quicksand. And to be honest with you, I heard warnings that Sicha Hollow has quicksand in it.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, wow, it's going to be my first interaction with quicksand. And they always say stay on the trails because you don't want to get stuck in the quicksand.
Right.
So anytime I hear somebody's going out there, I give them that warning. I pass it along. Stay on the trails. Don't get stuck in the quicksand.
I just carry a rope with a big hook on it, right?
There you go. That's probably a smart thing to do.
Yeah, wrap it around your waist or something.
Throw it out, man. Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So,
I think your theory is, I really feel the same way, that they are basically interdimensional because they're known for cloaking, for, just disappearing, things like that. So that makes perfect sense to me. But I also don't think that makes them not an alien.
right. Well, people always want to know if Bigfoot's the alien, and I have a chart that I like to refer to, and it literally is a picture of a gorilla skeleton, a chimpanzee skeleton, an orangutan skeleton, and then what would be a Bigfoot skeleton if we had one, their anatomy, and then a human skeleton. And the only one that doesn't fit on this whole picture is us.
Right.
All of these others have fingers that go way past their knees when they're standing there. We're the only one that has a body shape that's completely different.
Right.
And all of the native stories, there's different tribes have different creation stories, but
Yeah.
they honor them all. They honor them all, right? So they don't argue about who's got the right one. They honor
Right.
them all. And I love that. I absolutely love that. But all of the creation stories talk about how everything was created first. The earth, the trees, the everything was created. The animals, the birds, the fish, the insects, everything was created. And the very last thing to be created on the earth was man. And then the stories say that the creator talked to all of the creation, all of our brothers and sisters, which are the creation, the plants, the trees, the animals, the fish, the birds, the insect, everything that is our older brother and sisters,
Right.
that they would take care of us because we don't know what we're doing. We're just a baby on the planet.
Right.
And so they agreed to take care of us and look out for us and be there for us. And so that's, the majority of the creation stories have that ring to it, that we are the last thing to be placed on this planet. And that kind of goes along with the other stories that the natives share about coming from the star people, that we come from them, that we were seeded on this planet.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
when people ask me, is Bigfoot an alien? I'm like, well, we are, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We
Oh yeah. I agree with you
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, I remember during your presentation, the one thing that kind of reopened my eyes, because when you saw those footprints going up the hill, they were there was a lot of them there too. Probably what, 10 of them or 12 of
Oh,
them going up.
I don't even
Yeah.
remember how many they were.
Yeah.
It was like 2000
Anyway,
now.
yeah, there was a lot going up. And then you followed those up and you got to the top and they went around in a circle.
They didn't go
Then,
around in the circle. They
no,
ended at the circle.
ended at the circle. Okay.
They ended at the circle. So I didn't actually go to the top of the hill because it
Oh,
was difficult. I watched two girls go up. Jenna
okay.
and Nikki went up.
Okay.
And I stayed at the bottom and I said, Jenna, where do the footprints go? Because in a gravel pit, you cannot hide your footprints. They are very noticeable. I mean, we drove in there and I'm like, look at those footprints right there. I mean, we didn't have to go hunting. We drove in and there they were.
Right.
So I was like, where do the footprints go? And she's like, they disappear. And I said, where? And she said, where do they descend the hill? She says, they don't, they disappear. And I said, where? And she said, it's circles. And so she's taking pictures up there with her cell phone and she's sending them to me
Right.
on my phone so I can see what's up there. And, she knew that circles meant something to me because in all of our traveling together that we do, I am obsessed with petroglyphs, ancient rock carvings by the native people, and pictographs, which are the rock drawings, right?
Right.
And I'm obsessed with those things. And I want to visit those places because I'm looking for the ones that are spirals or circles within circles within circles, because I feel very strongly that those are portraying portals.
Right.
And my native elder had told me that I could remember all the things that my ancestors knew and that I needed to remember those things so that I could do those things again. And he pushed me to remember how to walk through stone because he said my ancestors could do that. And they did. And they would walk through the stone and they would go from Minnesota all the way down through the stone. They would just walk right through and they'd pop out down in the Southwest with the Hopi. And we would bring the things that we were going to trade with the Hopi through the stone and trade with them and then come back. Right. And he said that my family, my ancestors were the ones who did that for the people. Wow. So he was always pushing me to remember how to do it.
Right.
And prior to him doing that, I was watching TV one day, and I'm pretty sure it was an Ancient Aliens episode where they were showing some petroglyphs, and they were the circles within circles and the spirals, and they were showing pictures and talking about it, and they were talking about how they're talking about some star map or whatever. I was like, no, that's a portal, and that's the instructions on how to open the portal right there.
Right.
And I'm sitting there feeling like I know exactly what it's saying. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then later my elder had told me that I could remember what my ancestors knew. So I always think if I can get to one of these places where those are and the instructions are there, it only makes sense to me that they drew them or carved them where it happened.
Right. Right.
Right. So if that's where it happened, perhaps I could open the door.
Yeah. And I think that's a lost scientific art that we used to have, and we used to use we knew how to use frequency to open these portals. And you were talking about it, I believe at the conference, that people forget that Sasquatch has this ability to with its voice. I mean, it can go like low levels, really low, and it can really high. And I think it has the ability, and you talked about this, to open up these portals.
Yeah, I think that frequency is the answer. Sound frequency is the answer to opening those things.
Decibels.
Yeah, it only makes sense that the native people would draw or carve them as they look. And if they looked like circles within circles or spirals, that makes sense to me that that's created by frequency, because if you can go on YouTube and you can look up the videos where they have sand on a sound plate and they start playing a certain frequency and the sand starts to take a different shape on the plate. And there is a frequency that they play where it starts making circles within circles within circles, right?
Right.
There's different frequencies where it makes different patterns, but that one I think is the one that we need to open the door.
Yeah.
where does the door go? That's the question. And
Right.
are we willing to step through the door to find out? And how do we get back? I mean, these are kind of scary things to consider, and I've absolutely considered them. And Jenna and I have talked at length about this, and she is willing to walk through the door with me and find out what happens and whether we come back or not. If we disappear and we're just gone, well, maybe you'll know what happened to us.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know, I mean, that's the big question. Are you going to be able to come back, you know?
Right.
Right.
I
There was
don't,
one
I don't
time-
know if you knew that Mary and I did a DNA activation during the UFO contact,
Okay.
but that is done with frequency, vibration, and it's all about remembering who we truly are. And a fantastic way to get that information, oftentimes in meditation or when we're open to it, that comes from, you know, our ancestors or many moons ago. So I think you guys are really on the right track with this. And I would definitely go with you.
You would go with me? All right. Well,
I would.
Oh, yeah, I'm in.
I had the opportunity to walk through one time, and I got scared, and because I didn't know what it was happening. I
Mhm.
don't remember if I shared that story in the presentation or not, but I'll be happy to share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was my very first encounter, and we got surrounded, and I did a prayer in the Ojibwe language. I was on a reservation, the one next to mine. And so I did like an Ojibwe prayer. I did a very formal introduction, and miigwech, me miigwech, which is thank you to the little people, the nature spirits, and miigwech kitchisabe, which was thank you to Bigfoot, right? As soon as I said thank you to Bigfoot, everything stopped. Like it stopped moving towards us. All of them did, because we could hear them. We were surrounded. And there was a reason why those girls were scared. um, so then we left after they stopped, and for me, that was confirmation of what the elders had said, that you could pray through the Great Spirit and contact Bigfoot and ask for help, and that he would help you. So I think that when I thanked him, he understood, we're scared, please stop, but at the same time, I wanted to go back to that location in the daytime and look for footprints, right?
Right.
That's like the thing we should do.
Right.
So the next morning, we're having breakfast, and I said to the girls, and then, again, none of these were Jenna. And I said, we need to go back out there. We're only 10 minutes from there. Let's go look for the footprints. And they're like, no.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's daytime now. We need to go look for footprints. And they're like, no, we need to go back to Minneapolis. And I was like, no. I said, you can't be a Bigfoot researcher if you don't go look for the footprints in the daylight. You just can't. You can't call yourself that if you're not going to do it.
Right.
And I really had to bully this person who was driving the car of people that came from Minneapolis. I had my own car. I was the only one with my own car, and this other person was driving the other people. And so I kind of bullied them into going out there. And then she got out of the car, would refuse to put hiking shoes on or socks, refused to leave the road, did a Facebook Live, and then she's like, yeah, we're leaving, bye. And I had made a rule, when we started this, that nobody would go into the forest alone, that we always had to have a buddy, that was for safety. And I wasn't thinking about that in regards to myself. I was thinking of that in regards to other people, right? I didn't want them like getting lost or something happened. Well, now they've left me there, and I'm in my car, and I'm about to drive away. I'm like, well, this is dumb, because it's just like right there. This is dumb. This is dumb. I'm just going to go look. I'm by myself. I'm breaking the rules. Might as well, right? So I get out of my car.
Nobody's there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I get out of my car, and I start walking towards where we were hearing the first sounds of something walking towards us. And I start to see a golden light, like lighting up this path. Now, when I do a remote view with Google Maps and Google imagery, satellite imagery, I'll often see things lighting up as a golden light, and it indicates a location, and I'll look harder, and then it'll start showing me more detail. So for me to see something lighting up as a golden light tells me, go this way, right?
Right.
And so I'm seeing the path. It's golden light. It's glowing. I'm starting to walk it. And then there's an X in the path. And the golden light just goes right underneath the X and it continues. I can see where it's going into the forest, right? And now I'm not even looking for footprints at this time. I'm just following the golden light. And now I'm starting to hear a voice. And it's a very sing-songy voice. And it's calling my name. Jennifer. Now my friends call me Jen. Very few people call me Jennifer, although that's my name and I like to be called Jennifer as well, just never Jenny. But it was calling me Jennifer, and it was Jennifer, Jennifer, and I'm just, yep, I'm coming, and I'm going, and not even questioning who's calling to me, what's calling, not even a question in my mind. And I was in a trance-like state and didn't even know that. I'm just going. And all of a sudden I was about to cross the X. And in my head, sometimes I hear memories like scream at me as more of a message from my spirit guides. And it's a memory that like literally like yells in my head, like words. And it was a memory of my one friend Maria yelling, "Never walk into a fairy ring. They can take you and never bring you back." And it was so loud, it startled me. And I just stopped. I was like, what? And then I realized somebody's calling my name. Who is that exactly? And why wasn't I questioning that before? And then I realized I had been in a trance-like state and I wasn't in control of myself. And that scared me that I didn't realize I wasn't in control. So I turned around and I hightailed it back to my car. I got in my car and shut the door and then I felt safe. But then I was still curious. So then I pulled up to where I could still see the path. It was still golden light. And I'm looking at it, still feeling safe. So I rolled down the window. Okay, I feel good. Take some pictures. Click, click, click. And I did show those in the presentation.
Right.
I remember in the forest beyond that X, there was the circles within circles within circles in the forest. I was walking right into them.
Right.
And didn't even know it. And so that was my opportunity to step into a portal. Where would I have gone? Could I have come back? I don't know. And I would love to know. And so I asked around and I was trying to find somebody who would go there with me. I found somebody. We returned a couple weeks later and it just wasn't there anymore.
Right.
But she was willing to walk in there with me.
Yeah, I mean, some portals can move,
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, cool stuff. I mean,
So do you think it was the little people maybe, or was just trying to call
you
you
know,
in there?
when I look at the pictures that I took, when I look at, see, I can see things in pictures sometimes
Right.
that the picture changes, so it's
Right.
not pareidolia,
Right.
But when I start to see things on the remote view and stuff, I'll start to see moving pictures on top of a picture.
Right.
And sometimes I'll just straight up see something. I feel like sometimes I see something there that looked little people-ish, or even alienish.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I should probably send you those pictures, Deb, and have you look at
I
them.
would love that. And my feelings are they are all connected anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here wondering, you were saying you were in like a trance state almost.
Yep.
But isn't that, as a medium myself, I always say I don't channel because I'm not going to allow them to use my body. But it happens. I've had people tell me, my husband's voice was coming out of your mouth, your face shifted. I never know when this is going to happen. And I feel like kind of in a way, the same thing goes on when we get into that state. It's definitely out of the third dimension, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I also feel that, they speak to us telepathically. We communicate telepathically. So there was a lot of that going on too, possibly.
So, but that brings up the question of what is this interdimensional thing? Is it another place or is it just another state of consciousness that's a little bit higher, that you raise your consciousness level and you just become aware of something more that's also there that you just didn't see before because you were unaware of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Even when I think about the brain, because I've been studying the brain since the 90s, and just from a purely scientific standpoint, the brain, the science tells us the brain is thinking and processing 400 billion bytes of information every single second. 400 billion bytes. But it's only consciously aware of 2,000 bytes per second out of the 400 billion that you're actually processing out of
Not
your
very
brain.
much, right? Not very much.
Most of the things that we're seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing are outside of the conscious awareness of humans, but
Right.
we know it inside. We know it in our gut. And that's where I always tell people, you get that gut feeling, even if you don't think you're psychic, you get that gut feeling sometimes
Right.
and you trust it. You got to trust that, because that's where that's coming from, is from those senses that you're outside of your awareness. And if somebody's kicking you going, be careful, or whatever,
Right.
and that's where those gut feelings come from. And I always tell people to trust those. Trust those.
Mhm.
That means something. Whether you think you're psychic or not, everybody thinks of someone and then they call. That's always happened to everybody, I think. Everybody's
Right.
had that experience.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And whoever they are on where they want you to go, they're aware that you're aware of there's something there. I mean, they know that you can possibly handle this and possibly see something that other people can't see, but
Absolutely.
they know that. They know that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In dealing with, people who have been through being taken or experiences contact, it's really common that these people end up with higher psychic abilities. Do you feel that that is something that comes with any connection with any other beings?
I've always had a higher knowing since I was a little kid.
Mhm.
Did it become more when I started interacting with things more as an adult? It did, but it was when I stopped resisting it, is when it really flew open for me. I mean, and because I remember being 2 years old, and my mom attended one of my classes one time. And well, she's attended many of my classes, but she heard me telling this story. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And the story went like this. When I was 2 years old, my grandpa was paralyzed. He was in a wheelchair, and had this really tall bed. And I remember knowing that he was going to die. And so I kept climbing up to get to him, because I knew if I could get close enough to him, he wouldn't die. At 2 years old, I kept climbing up there, up to the bed. And as soon as I get to the top, my mom would put me on the floor. And I
Oh,
remember feeling so frustrated that grandpa was going to die because I couldn't get close enough to him. And I kept climbing right back up there, and I'd just get up to him and they'd put me on the floor. And I just kept climbing. And my mom's like, "What are you talking about? We didn't know grandpa was going to die. He had a heart attack and he went really fast." And I'm like, "Well, I guess I assumed that I thought he was dying because you told me, but I knew for a fact he was dying
Right.
mhm.
Right.
soon if I couldn't get close enough to him." So at the age of 2, I knew something that was going to happen in advance. At the age of 2, I knew I was a healer
Mhm.
and that I
Yeah.
could do something about it. And that fact that I remember something from the age of 2, supposedly you're not supposed to be able to remember much before age 5.
Mhm.
I have full on memories. I can tell you where I lived and give you exactly. My aunt
Same
has
here.
corrected me so many times on this, and she's so frustrated that I have such an accurate memory of things from when I was 2 and 3 and 4.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of memories as well of being very little. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, you come in, you're already, a psychic medium, you're already knowing that you're a healer, and we know that's all from past lives. So that's proof that we are consciousness more than we are a physical body.
So when I had my encounter with what I call water spirits, because I don't know what else to call them other than what my tribe has called them, and we're talking about the basketball sized balls of light that come in different colors. Mine particularly was a ball of fire. It looks like a ball of fire, but when it touched me, it didn't feel like fire at all. It just felt like overwhelming joy and love beyond what a human could comprehend. It's so far above that. And I always try to tell people there's so much more to love. There's so much more to joy. than you could even understand or fathom. And if you imagine that you live in a building that's got 3 stories in it, and every day you get in the elevator and you decide which floor you're going to go to, 1, 2, or 3. And then one day you get into the elevator and all of these floors represent your current understanding of what love and joy is. And then you get into the elevator and you just discover that the elevator goes up to floor 50.
Oh,
And
I
you go
like
up the elevator and you're just bombarded with this complete and utter unfathomable amount of love and joy that you just cannot even comprehend it.
Right.
That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me when it touched me. I became aware of this so much. There is so much more. And what we experience here is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
Right.
Yeah.
Bucket. So when I had that experience of my own, when one of them came to me in the water and touched me, well, first it talked to me, then it circled me, and as it circled me, it was like I had a volume button for my joy and my love, and it was turning up my volume, and I think it was turning up my frequency, so to speak, so that it could interact with me on that level. And then when it touched me, I had an experience that I was no longer in the water. I was a little wild rice seed on the top of on the reed of wild rice. And I experienced this whole movie in my head where I was this little wild rice seed. And it was a very native story that I'd never heard. I haven't heard it before or since, but I experienced this whole movie in my head where I was this wild rice seed and had this whole experience. And when it was over, I heard the drum sound across the water, and which meant it was 1 o'clock and the powwow was about to begin. And I had gotten in the water at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, geez.
And so I lost over 3 hours of time.
Wow.
That I did not remember other than this movie experience I was having, being this wild rice seed and living that life as that wild rice seed. And when it was over, I ran out of the water and I didn't remember that the ball of fire left. I just remember it telling me to tell people the story.
Right.
And then also that my native elder's son was supposed to be in the water with me when it happened and he wasn't. So that was like, I went running out of the water to go get him because he was asleep in my van.
Right.
So I ran and got him and I said, come into the water with me right now. You have to come with me. And he got in the water with me and nothing happened. It was too late. So we went and talked to his dad, who was the leader of the Medewan, the Grand Medicine Society for our tribe. He was their leader. He was a 4th level Medewan priest. And I went and told him what happened. And he told me that he was surprised. He was surprised. He's like, well, already? I was like, what? He goes, are you ready for this? And I go, am I ready for what? And he kept saying, are you ready? Are you ready? And I'm like, am I ready for what? And he's like, well, I knew this was going to happen to you. I always knew they would come for you. Even before I ever met you, I knew they were coming for you. But I never thought that you were ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? I didn't think it would be this soon. Are you ready for it? I'm like, am I ready for what? I didn't understand
Right.
what.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that moment that he realized that I didn't remember what happened, that I had forgotten what happened. And later on, and it was a couple years later, he told me that I didn't remember it because I wasn't ready for it when it happened.
Right.
So I didn't have the memory of it. Instead, I had the story to share, but
Yeah.
I didn't remember what exactly happened. But when I told the story, you know, I followed the directions. I told the story. And so when I went to write the story, I actually took an audio recorder and I recorded myself telling the story that I experienced in the little movie in my head as being a wild rice seed, right? And when I recorded it, it came out very much like a Longfellow poem. It was very long and it was very poetic. And the very ending of the story shocked me because I just heard myself say it. I was just saying it was more like a channeling than anything.
Right.
And when I heard myself say the very last part, I went, "What?" I'm literally on the recording. What?
So,
So-
go ahead.
And I never put that end, I never put that on the end of the story when I wrote it. I never put it on the end. Instead, I was so shocked by what I heard. And I'll tell you what it said. I'll tell you what I said. The ending went like this. There's a fire in the water. It came to dance with me. There's a fire in the water dancing into me. And then I remembered, when I heard myself say that, I remembered that it touched me. And that's when everything changed. And then I remembered I didn't remember that it left. And so then I immediately called my native elder and I said, "Did that thing go inside of me?" And he would not answer. And I said, "Is that thing still inside of me?" He would not answer. And I drilled him for 2 years, those two questions. Drilled him those two questions. I was so mad at him that he would not answer. And then one day I had been at the same place where it had come to me the first time. And I wanted to make a guided meditation video. And so I took my cell phone out and I started to record the waves in the water. I'm just standing in the water up to my ankles, right? And I'm recording the waves and I hear a voice that says, "Point your camera down and to the left and you'll catch me on the video." So I point my camera down and to the left. I have no idea what's getting on there or not getting on there because it's an old cell phone and, you really can't see on a sunny day because it's the daytime. And I only recorded for like a minute and then it was time to go. And as I walked out of the water, I completely forgot that there was a voice. I completely forgot about the video. And on I went with my life. And for 2 years, I drilled my elder asking those questions and I was so mad at him. It literally was hurting our relationship because I was mad at him because I wanted him. I needed him to tell me an answer. Needed that. And he wouldn't do it. And so one day I woke up and it was in the middle of the night, really early in the morning. I woke up, sat straight up in bed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remembered the voice telling me where to point my camera. I remembered the video, and I remembered that I never even watched it.
Oh
So
my.
I'm like, I need to find that video and see the thing that I missed. So I went and I was able to go right. I found it immediately. It was so quick. It was so easy. I found it right away. And there it was. And I showed the video. I showed the clip of it in my presentation, and you saw the fireball running around in the water in front of me, right?
Right.
And so I sent that email in an email to my elder right then and there. And I said, "Do you have anything to say to me now?" That was hot. And he answered me in 2 emails, which he didn't like to do email answers on spiritual things ever, but he did. He answered me in 2 emails. And he said, "I do have something to say now." And I was like, whoa. And he's like, "That video is the answer to the questions that you have continued to ask me for 2 years. You didn't remember what happened because it happened before you were ready for it. And the fact that you remembered this now means that you're ready to know it. And that's the answer to your questions in that video right there."
Wow.
And then he died a few weeks later.
Oh.
But I was so thankful that he got to tell me that before he passed because I needed that. Because I knew the answer inside. I knew it. I knew. But I wasn't ready to know it.
Right.
Right.
I
You knew
needed
that.
him to tell me that because it was too crazy. In my head, that's too crazy.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Now, Jen, we've got a little time here, but tell us, what are you doing now to tomorrow, and what are you going to be doing in the future, and how people can contact you?
Okay, so I just arrived in South Dakota. I'm going to be presenting at the Star Knowledge Conference here in Pickstown,
Nice.
South Dakota. Again, they contacted me 2 nights ago, so here I am. flying by the seat of my pants like you're meant to, right? Um, but so I'm going to be presenting there. I'm not even sure what my presentation is going to be. I asked her, what do you want me to talk about? And she said, anything you want, Bigfoot, whatever. And so I haven't decided which presentation I'm going to give. I'm
Right.
open to feedback here. Because I have multiple options here. If I should give my usual Bigfoot ones, or if I should do something similar to what I did at your event at the UFO
It
con.
was a hit. It was a huge hit.
Yeah. Well, this is a native convention, so
Right. That's true. Well, hey,
yeah. I actually asked her, "Do you want me to talk about these things?" And she says, "Well, why not?" And I was like, "Well, my tribe often goes, don't talk about that."
Right.
So I get kind of going, well, maybe I shouldn't. But, I also think I was given that video as a gift for me. And it helps me to help other people to understand there is more here than that
Right.
they think there is. And that is a tool that I've used to help so many people to understand that there is more here than what they think there is. And they need to open their awareness because there is so much more.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And they can
And,
find it.
and we're at that point in our ascension. So go ahead.
Yeah. And we absolutely are. And it's time to wake up. And that's part of the story too, that I experienced. It's like the seventh fire has been lit. It's time to dance and share your light. Come dance with me, to all the children of the fire. So that is definitely part of the story, that we are children of the fire. And it's time to wake everybody up.
Definitely is.
Nice,
And
sir.
you're sharing this now because it's time.
Yeah.
It is time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sorry for interrupting.
So we're about down to 2 minutes, just to let you
Okay.
know.
All right.
So where can people contact you if it's possible?
We have a website, which is shesquatchers.com, and that'll link you to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. If people want to talk to me, I tell them usually Facebook Messenger is the best way to find me, either through She Squatchers official on Facebook or just meet Jen Cruz. And I always tell people emailing is not the best way to reach me because I don't always check it, and there's so much crap that gets in there that Messenger gets me every time. You will reach me every time. So I always tell people Messenger is the best way to reach me. So I'm Jen Cruz on Facebook, or at She Squatchers official on Facebook as well. So
Well, listen, we thank you so much for showing up. It's been a pleasure.
Went too fast.
Went too
way
fast.
too
It always
fast.
does.
yes,
But have a great conference and
thank you.
gathering, and we both love you dearly,
Yes, we do.
and we want to get back and do this again.
Yes.
Absolutely, I would love to. I love you both so much. I just want to squeeze you.
Yes.
Thank you, Jen.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you for being
All
on
right.
with us.
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a fantastic week. And until we meet again, may all of your awakenings be mystical. Good night, everybody. We love
Bye.
you.